And welcome to another episode of the Happy Camper Podcast. Hopefully by now you guys know us. I'm Chris, that's Noah, that's Willie. And this is just a fun, and well, it's fun for me, fun podcast for us just to talk about camp things or just kind of nonsensical things. Nothing we say is meant to be taken super seriously. So hopefully that helps you as you listen. If we say something stupid, it's...
Disclaimer given.
Yeah, disclaimer given. Today,
Yes, we will say stuff that's stupid.
it will happen. It has happened.
Yep.
In fact, I know it's happened. Today, what I want to talk about is I just want to go through, and this is just more of a conversation. We've done some games. We've done a lot of different kind of things. This is just more of a conversation with you guys, and I just kind of want to walk down memory lane a little bit and talk about some games we've played here at the Wilds that we no longer play and discuss maybe the reasoning why. And so just maybe for some of our campers, and just for some context, okay? At our camp here, in junior camp, we've got about 250, sometimes up to 300 campers. Teen camp, on a big week, and even all the way up to like 800 campers. So a lot of people playing these games. And there have been some in the past that, and I've not been a part of all of these either, but I think Willie, if he's not been a part of them, he's at least heard of them. He's older than us, so
Just 2 or 3
he probably
years.
has. But I want to talk about, well, actually first, are there any that you guys go, this immediately comes to mind, and here's what it was, maybe explain it to our campers so they kind of get an understanding, and then here's why, in hindsight, we probably won't ever do it again. Is there anything like that that comes to mind? I've got a little list, and I can just go off that if you guys want, but I wonder if anything just comes to mind right off the bat.
Yeah, clean sweep. Is that on your list?
It is on my list.
Yeah.
Explain that one to our audience.
Clean sweep. It's actually a very good game.
Yeah, it's a good
I
game.
very-
I actually love
And
it.
we've played this, like, this is not in the too distant past.
No, but it's probably one that I'm like sad that we're not playing anymore, except for the fact, okay, so you got in the middle of the ball field, you've got a number of different items, tennis balls, footballs, some little tube pieces.
Frisbees.
Frisbees, sometimes. And you've got your campers in 3 teams lined up in a kind of a triangle form, and probably about 50 yards. I can't remember the
It's a sprint, like quite a distance from the middle.
Yeah. So we say go, and they run full bore.
I mean, yeah.
And out
Full
to the
speed.
middle of the field. Yes, yes. Out in the middle of the field, and grab one item, bring it back, and tag the person next in line, and they go out and do the exact same thing.
As
and-
carefully as possible without making any contact with another human being.
That's not accurate. That's why we don't play it anymore.
Because what are some of the
guys
injuries?
would just
Yeah.
run as fast as they can and just slide through
Yeah,
the middle of all
right.
the items. There's a couple hundred items out there, and they're sliding and head first into this pile.
Oh, yeah.
And at some
was
point
not me.
in our I'm a self-preservationist, so I'm like,
I'm like, I'll go second. I'll go next.
so we're standing back watching this game. We're like, oh, somebody could get hurt doing that. Now, to be clear, I don't know that anybody got majorly hurt, but
I remember one.
But
I remember one. So we did this, when we've done it as like a full, but we've also done it as Tic Tac Challenge.
Yeah.
As one of the challenges.
Right.
And so I remember it was actually during Tic Tac Challenge, they were running to the middle, and one kid lost his tooth, and we went and picked it up off the ground. Or I don't think I did. I think the camp nurse did.
Ugh.
Picked it up. I think they were able to get it back in at the
you could
hospital.
find a tooth on the ball field. That's pretty impressive.
But yeah, it was like the whole route and everything because they just
Yeah.
came in and just smacked faces, and so
We don't play that game anymore.
even it's a fun game, but it is we
Yeah.
we get it. There's a little bit of a risk.
Man,
there.
back in the days, they didn't.
Yeah.
Injuries weren't. They either didn't happen as much or they didn't care as much. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noah, do you have anything that kind of came to your mind right off the?
One that came to my mind was circle soccer.
Yeah. Explain that one.
Basically, you have you get a bunch of circles all over the ball field, smaller circles, and
Of people, right? Circles of people.
yes, circles of people.
Yeah.
So imagine a circle painted on the ground, and then half the circle you put one team. On the other circle, you're just standing on the, across from each other on the round edge of the circle, and then you put a line,
what could go wrong?
I don't know.
line down the middle, And the name of the game was just kick the soccer ball as hard as you can to get it past the other team. And so basically, it was anytime the ball went through the feet or past the other team would get a point. But essentially, it's just like, well, I'm just
gonna blast it at you as hard as I possibly
I'm gonna
can.
kick this ball as hard as I can.
Again.
And
they're not that far apart. This is not like, yeah.
So
this
I
is
know
like
it was further than you are to me right now.
but they're like touching. Like it's like they're like side by side, and so it's not that big of a circle. Boom. So while this would be extremely fun if you're the one kicking the ball, if you're the one getting kicked,
Dude, once again, I'm out.
by the ball?
I'm out. I'm kicking and running.
oh my word, yeah, there's some danger there.
Yeah.
So that one didn't last
There was
terribly long, I think.
Another game that came to my mind when you asked that question,
Mm-hmm.
and I never saw this game played, but I heard about it. In our fireplace room, there are some poles that go all the way to the ceiling, and they'd put a string on it. And at the
Now,
top,
how high are we talking? Let's go for the
Oh.
audience.
Goodness.
I mean, it's probably 30-foot ceilings, right?
yeah, at least. And so they'd put it at the top of that pole, and they had two teams, and the object was to see how high you could get a clothespin on that string. So they're building these pyramids,
Of people.
like 20, 30 feet. What
could go wrong?
That. And so I
amazing.
hate the fact that I never got to see that
Oh
game.
yeah,
played,
that
but
would be
that's
so cool to watch.
You know what that reminds me of? There's like some
Yeah, I know what you're
European
talking
country.
about. I know what you're talking about.
The whole point is
Oh,
to
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
who could build the highest tower
Yep.
of people.
But there's a person and like it's almost like a giant king of the hill
Yeah.
kind of thing, isn't it? Like,
Well, there's two games that you're thinking
oh,
of.
okay.
One is like it looks like they have an entire country of people, and maybe that's what it is. It's
Building
this.
different countries
and they fall.
building human towers, and it's not like no one's trying to defend them or
Oh,
keep them
okay.
from doing
All right.
it. They are literally trying to see how high this tower of people can go. And the craziest part of it is
get
that
up
they're just like, we're going to put a child at the very peak because they're light,
goodness.
right? So this you can see this child like climbing all of these people, feet on their heads and everything, and then they finally get up at the very
Yeah,
top.
I've seen it.
And
That's wild.
none of these things end well.
Yeah,
like
it's
almost
nuts.
every video I've seen is like
Crumble.
someone at the bottom who finally is like crushed under thousands of pounds of people, gives out, and then it just comes rushing down. Now the other thing that Chris was talking
Yeah.
about is a sport where
I want to say one team is like all already in that kind of tower formation with a guy on the very top.
they're
and
trying
the
to
other
reach
team,
some. Oh, yeah.
And the other team is basically climbing up them and trying to get to, and they're like full contact defending,
Yeah.
isn't
Yes.
it? Isn't that?
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen
Kung
that. and been
fu,
like,
karate.
I'm curious as to what that's called.
I am too, and we might play it next summer. So
Yeah.
come join us.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super. Did you have another, or is that where you're? Any others that come to mind for you guys?
And most of them are center. We don't play them anymore because we're worried about somebody's going to
Get her.
Right.
lose an arm.
Well, here's one I'll let Noah talk about. You want to talk about JBC capture the flag at all
Oh yeah.
that we
yeah.
used to do?
Yeah, so back in the day, they needed an activity for the boys to fill a time slot. And, it was junior boot camp. So the idea was like, hey, let's have something a little bit more aggressive that the boys can go out and do and have fun and rub dirt on their face and stuff like that. And so we have a place up past Turtle Rock Trail, and it's just a really big open spot in the woods.
Well, but when you say open,
I say open. It's like
not
a
a
big
field.
hillside. It's like a hillside. It's in the woods,
it's where CIT
there are
goes, capture the
trees
flag.
there, definitely.
Yes.
Like it's
Oh,
not.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
but it's more of an open part of the woods
Yes.
where
it's
you
not
can
super
run.
thick with like thorns and that
Right.
kind of stuff.
There's room to run around, but you are jumping over logs, running
Yes.
around stumps,
Spikes sticking up out of the ground. Yeah,
Hey,
roots,
like
okay.
roots in the
Oh,
in
yeah.
the ground that you don't see.
yeah.
And it was basically tackle. Like
Well-
you could tackle
Yes.
each other to get close. I think it was clothespins.
Yep.
And if someone took your clothespin, then you had to go
So
out. or
the
whatever.
campers could full contact tackle
other.
the counselors
yeah,
and each other.
and
I
each
think
other.
the counselors couldn't tackle the campers, but they
Right.
could tackle each other. So the
Yes.
guys, if there would be like these little mini rivalries that would form in junior boot camp, and it would almost be like a JBC. we're gonna find out. Like I'm gonna, yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's like literally, it's that dumb, but it was true.
You just wait till
you just wait till capture the flag, and then it capture the flag and be like, it doesn't matter if he's strategy out the window. It's just like I'm tackling that guy as hard as I possibly can, and will he land on a stick sticking up out of the ground? Maybe. I mean, I'm not aiming for, I'm not hoping for that, but like the possibility, like someone could have got. I mean, and I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know of anybody getting hurt super bad. Like I think we're okay.
Your typical scrape knees, elbows, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But eventually we got to the point where we're just like, I think there's other ways that we can fill this time and be a little bit safer. So we still do
next to the obstacle course that's not being used anymore, right?
Well, it's you have to go past it. You hike past it.
Okay.
So
top 100 abandoned places.
Yeah.
Don't tell the campers things to go look for.
Oh,
yeah. Now that was, I will say this, I think the counselors looked like, I think when they're in JBC, at least I remember like looking forward to capture the flag. Like that was awesome.
Well,
like we loved it.
And you can look forward to it because CIT plays it. You don't tackle like that.
It's not full. Yeah. Yeah. It's
full
not quite,
just
not quite the same, but
flower bombs at each other.
I did think of another game that we don't play anymore. You probably have it on your list.
Go ahead.
Hogs to Market.
Yeah, I have it there. You know what I called it? I thought I said pigs to market, but yeah, that's I wasn't around.
We
for
played
this,
that
so.
one
What is it?
summer. Okay, so a lot of detail to this game, which hindered it as well. But basically, you're going around with your cabin on the ball field, gathering beads, and then selling the hogs. And the hogs are the counselors. And basically, the counselor would have to be led around blindfolded on the ball field to these different markets to gather beads, and they were not allowed to see. So they would be, crossing each other constantly on the ball field.
And I mean, we're talking 50, 60, 70 cabins all at once. Doing
yeah,
this.
and we're talking all the way across the ball field. So they were, and it was a speed game. So they were the campers were leading the counselors. It was very funny to watch into other people just to see injuries happen. Yeah, and they would run as fast as they can. And
Campers wouldn't do
all
that.
the way across the ball field, blindfolded.
So they would just say like, "Follow my voice," and the counselor would just run after him.
Well, the campers had to like form a circle around the counselor.
But then they would act like they're running and then split the circle apart, just let them run into stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of different things that happened. And I mean, sometimes the counselors would be like, "I'm just running full bore. You better keep up, campers." And then they would run into people and yeah, it was very entertaining to watch because I was on program then and I didn't have to play it, but I thought it was very entertaining. So there's a number of different reasons we don't never played that game again.
Yeah, I could see the issues with that. Although it does sound fun and in some ways. I'll talk about one, Battleship.
Great game.
Now.
That was just a couple years ago, wasn't it?
No, this is different. This is
different.
different. No, this has been probably eight-ish. Feels about right. It was. You know what? I think it was 2 Battle for the High Seas ago, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it would have been like 2015.
Yeah, something like that.
So about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I guess.
Great game.
So what it was basically we had campers with tubes around them. If you had like one tube around you, you were like the little destroyer. Like if you ever played Battleship, that's like the smallest boat. If you had 2, you were like the submarine. 3, you were the Battleship 4, the carrier, something like that. And we'd have people on opposite sides of these terrible looking fences that we built. We put these silt dirt fences up to keep campers out of the. Anyway,
they look great.
And they would look terrible. They would chuck dodgeballs. So it was basically on go. It was just a swarm of dodgeballs into the middle to try and hit these people wearing the tubes. And if they got hit, they lost a tube. Kind of like last man standing wins. Kind of that kind of
Battleship.
And there might be some defenders in there. I don't remember. But the worst part was, as the referee, you're standing in the middle, and you're not watching where the balls are coming from because you've got to be watching the ships to see if they get hit. So I remember distinctly.
Campers didn't care about winning.
Well, campers would figure out that we can just drill those guys that aren't even looking for fun. Kind of like Hogs to Market. They would just figure out there's more fun to be had here than the actual game.
That's what I would have done.
I'm not even upset at them because I totally would have done that. Yeah. But I remember as a referee getting drilled and then looking over and seeing these kids high five and being like, if only, but like I got to go right back to watching because I'm watching the game and want it to be. And so we did that all summer long, and then we vowed never to do that.
Great
again.
game. Great game.
So yeah, some good memories with that one.
Wow.
You have Czechoslovakian football on your list?
I do not. Go ahead. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. We played it during staff training week and decided not to ever play it again, basically.
So what?
I don't really remember why, other than it wasn't injuries. It was just unbelievably complex and not fun.
Well, that's
stinks.
basically
the reason there.
I see that like every time I pull up one of the old like archive folders, I see it in there in case we ever want to go back to it. Here's the instructions.
You could probably delete that guy. So yeah, that one was not.
I have one that
I think Matt Taylor came up with that.
You want to give him credit for that? Yeah. If he didn't, he
I
would
don't
have
know
credit
if he-
for it
I think
anyway.
that's the only game he came up with. So.
I have one more. I'll let Noah talk about this one. And airball.
Wait.
This was 9 square,
Oh, okay. That's what we called it there.
but we call it airball.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
The-
so
on
do you
the ball
want to?
field?
Do you want to talk about why we will never do this one again? Or
I can't.
I will.
I'll tell you why I definitely never want to ever do
Well,
it again.
go ahead.
So-
Well, what was it? What was it?
Okay, well, so this was 2012.
Yep.
This is when Chris and I were just regular program guy, grunt workers, And
Not that they're just grunt workers; they do really important things.
yes, they do. I love you guys. But it was okay. So we turned 9 square into a camp-wide competition for the week.
Right. Which, if you don't know what 9 square is, it's that game. We have it now by our sand volleyball courts. It's like 4 square above your head, basically, but there's 9 of them.
Right.
All right. So there's a rope. They're tied in 9 different squares. You play that.
So,
But we were doing it
so we
camp-wide.
had to have a way to quickly, air quotes, for those of you who aren't watching this video, set this up, but also tear it down. And the reality is there was nothing quick about it. So we would have to show up.
Well, because we set up like 40 fields of it so that
40.
everybody
I was
could
gonna
play
Yeah.
all at once.
Right.
Side by side by
we're
side by
talking
side.
the day before is when we started setting those things up. We had to get almost half of it done the
After
night
the game
before.
on Tuesday night. Yeah.
And we would argue over, who got the good hatchet to drive the stakes.
Stakes in the ground. Because we'd be setting
Nick
up like
Calavito,
these.
love you.
We'd be setting up like these 2x4 poles and then
Hundreds.
during staff training week. Do you remember tying all the knots? Now,
Yep.
there is one man on this campsite, the knot master himself, Dan Brooks, who knows what he's doing in all things.
He
rope.
tried to teach us.
For a while I knew, but I could
Yeah.
not do it now. But we were tying all these ropes by hand because they were going to be the nets. We weren't going to buy a bunch of these things. We were going to make them. So we made them,
Right.
and then we'd have to set them up, take them down, and
Every
not get them.
corner
Yeah.
had 2 stakes. So
Right.
2 stakes per corner, and you had to get it tight. You had to get it perfect.
Yep.
And I mean, if someone ran into one of those 2x4s, it would fall down. The whole
Yes.
thing just totally collapsed.
It wasn't about safety. The reason we didn't do it
No,
again.
it was purely workload. Like it was a ton. It was like setting up a couple hours the night before, a couple hours that morning with everybody. It took forever. I will say this. I think the campers probably enjoyed it.
Sure.
Because they all got to play. Obviously, we like 9 square. We have one here. Like they like 9 square. It was a ton of setup.
I was program manager then, and I remember at the end of that summer, one of the guys saying, "We need to store these," knowing full in my mind we would never ever play that game again. It's like,
Yeah.
let's store them. And then we got rid of them like 2-3 years ago.
Well,
So,
yeah, 2-3 years, ago, just now.
Yeah.
And this was 2012 when we played it. Like we kept all this stuff for years and years,
knowing
thinking
knowing
Camps
we will
Abroad.
never,
Yeah,
ever,
well,
ever
and we
play
did.
it
I think
again.
probably take some of that on camps abroad and
Right.
play it, and they've used it. Like the idea was good. The setup just was
It took
humongous.
7 days.
It took forever.
It was a
Um,
good summer. It was a good summer.
It was a great summer, and it was a fun game for the campers, but we were not excited about setting it up.
So that had nothing to do with safety.
No,
That just
no.
the fact that we're lazy.
Yep. Well, yeah. I've got one more on my list, and I'm maybe leaning on Willie a little bit for this one.
All right.
Camp wide hide and seek.
Okay.
Did you ever play this?
No. See,
Okay.
The one summer that I was not here for the last, I don't know, 30, 27, 28, I don't know, was that
150.
was the summer they played that. So lake games. The year before was the last time we did lake games, which is as far as we used to do lake games every year. Now we do it every once in a while during the pirate theme. And so campers hated it. So we decided not to do it that year. But they decided to do lake games, which means
Like an acrostic.
Yes, means look all over camp everywhere. Camp spelled with a K. So
Clever.
yeah. So basically, it turned into an all camp hide and seek. I was not here that summer, but I helped plan that with brain burning and stuff. And
So you gave the okay. You were like, yeah, that's a good idea.
well, I was
I'm just kidding.
I was a
I'm just
program
kidding.
guy back then, so I didn't do. And anyway, so basically, I think it was after Christian Life Seminar, they would release or during Christian Life Seminar, the counselors would go and hide somewhere on the campsite.
Now, give me the boundaries, like ish.
To be honest, I don't remember them,
Oh, that's
but
right.
It was, 50
it
years
was
ago.
it was very large boundaries. I think they had to stay lower ball field, but anything was game. I mean, even back into the woods, activity center, all these places. And so counselors were very clever in some of the places they would hide. I mean, they would dig holes on the weekends and find ways to
Bury
cover themselves up.
alive. Just their nose above ground.
They were on top of roofs, which I don't think was allowed, but they did it. And in gutters, it was. And so if you were found, it was over. But so we've only done that one time.
Now, I'm not going to lie and say that sounds fun.
It does sound fun, and I wonder if we could still do
I
it.
see the potential danger
Yeah.
of being, I don't know, buried alive.
I think there's some counselors that are still out there. So
That's the thing. Wasn't there a story of like someone coming out of the like incinerator or something? Like,
What?
am I crazy?
I don't
We
think
had an
we have an incinerator.
I was just saying we had an incinerator.
Or I don't even know.
I think you're crazy.
Maybe I am.
Honestly, I
Different
can't
camp.
speak to that. I'd have to ask some of the guys that were here
Okay.
back then. So
Well, that's all I have. Do you guys have any others you want to talk about?
no. Everything else is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I think we all have games that we love, games that we don't like as much, but we recognize some people, they're still good games.
Yeah.
And so, but I am curious. Let us know your favorite games or maybe your least favorite games. That's fine.
Or a game we should try.
Yeah, let us know, and maybe we'll play it if you come next summer. We'll see you. All right, that's it for the Happy Camper. Hope you guys have a great day.